There are too many fatherless children. There are parts of our own St. Louis area where some 64% of the children there do not have a dad who lives at home. Too many fatherless children. In the light of this Father's Day and in the light of the readings you just heard this morning, I suggest to you there are too many fatherless children spiritually. Too many children who are fatherless spiritually. By that I mean not only dads who have no faith, but dads who have faith and who don't talk about it, with their children. Too many of us are fatherless children spiritually. Men, my brothers, we need to step up. We need to step up and we need to learn how to talk about our faith with each other and with our children. For too long we've waited until someone asks if even then we did it. Why is this so hard for us? Why have we passed over this responsibility to our kids' moms? If we have faith, why aren't we talking about it? Is it because it feels too feminine? We think it's not a manly thing to do? Is it for us too awkward? Or do we fear our children will have one more reason to roll their eyes at us? Is it because we've not thought about it ourselves? Or done the work we need to do to get words on this ineffable reality? Dads, one thing I know, if you don't tell your kids what you believe, they will never know you. For this is part of, if not the biggest part of, who you are, what makes you tick. And it's part of your job as a man to let others know who you are. Too often I go to funerals for dads, and I meet with the family to prepare a word for the homily that day or the next day. They might have an anecdote or two to share, but sometimes far too little to say about that man. And when I ask about his faith, usually there's just silence. Or something like, well, he went to church every Sunday. Can I tell you how sad that is? Dads, we don't know you. We don't know you. Dad, tell us what your relationship with God is like. What does it mean to you? Who are you spiritually? And who knows that? It's time for us to man up spiritually. This is for the kids, of course. But it's also for our own sake that we man up spiritually. Jesus wasn't afraid to do this. Jesus had this manly faith that he passed on. He talked about his relationship with his Father God, what it meant to him, what he was learning from that relationship in his life. He wasn't afraid to pray, to get down on his knees in prayer in front of his own family and his own friends and even strangers. Today in this gospel, when Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say I am?" it was part of his way of making sure they got it. He was saying to you, "Do you see? Do you see who I am?" And this is the work of a spiritual father, a father who is spiritual, truly. Recently, I had the opportunity to talk to one of our community members, Tom Phillips, about this. Tom is somebody I've always seen struggle and work to do this work, this important work, with his family and his friends. And in a conversation, he described an experience that he had with his own dad a while back. It is his brief story, not mine. And so I asked him if he would to share it with you this Father's Day morning.
It was the recession of 1990, and our family business was suffering terribly. We had lost over $1 million in a little bit over a year. We were running out of cash and having difficulty paying our bills. And during the darkest days of this time, I was having lunch with my dad, this man who had seen the business to which he had given his career crumble to the brink of extinction, and with little value on which to retire. He was 59 at the time. I asked him at that lunch, "Dad, how are you getting through this? You've lost so much, but you don't seem devastated or even that upset. How do you find peace about this? How do you sleep at night?" And without hesitation, he spoke words to me that I'll never forget. "Yes, Tommy," he said, "it seems dark now, but I see the light at the end of this tunnel. For you see, the race I am running is not about the business. It's about reaching God's kingdom. It's about trust. And I trust that God is with me in this. And because of that, I trust that we'll be okay, no matter what." It was so simple, and yet so powerful. He could hold that seemingly terrible tension of the moment without fear because of this simple but very clear trust. The thing is, I may not ever have known unless I had asked. I could tell he was drawing on some kind of unseen strength, some hidden consolation, but I wouldn't have known unless I had asked. It seems we men are creatures of few words. We don't say much, even when we're asked. But I think you can tell a man of faith by the way he looks in time of trial and desolation, the way my dad looked that day. This is how my dad passed it on to me, and I want, more than anything, to pass this on to my kids. For I learned that day that manly faith is about the transforming and fearless nature of trust. And because I too often fail at this, like the Apostle Peter in the midst of a storm one night, I pray for this grace. Lord, help my little faith. Help me to trust.
Man, it matters. It matters that we talk about this stuff with our kids. It matters that they know who we are spiritually. It's not about teaching our kids about God or faith, though that's awfully valuable. Nor is it about giving our kids advice about what they should believe. This is about who you are. Who you are. Who do we say you are? How do you connect with God? What difference does it make in your life that you know this Jesus? What Bible passages stand out in your life that motivate you and you go back to for strength when everything is crashing around you? And why? Your children need to hear this, what you would say about these things. And even if your dad didn't do it for you, don't let fear or awkwardness keep you from letting your children know who you are. You may stumble in trying to say it. It might feel terribly embarrassing to you. It doesn't have to be eloquent, but we'll never forget that you tried. We'll never forget that you tried to share it. As I look around at the men in this community, the men who make up this community, and in particular, the young men who make up this community, I have to say I'm so proud of you. I see so many here, so many men here, young and old, who are trying to put their faith into words, even guys who aren't dads. I see you do it in your marriages. I see you do it in your friendships, around school all the time. This is strength. I see men's support groups in our community that meet almost weekly around here, and prayer groups. I see the conversations that happen again and again between men. I see deep male friendships. I see mass attendance. I'm going on to 60 now, and I've never in my life been in a faith community where so many men show up for Mass on Sunday morning. Look around you. Some half of this congregation every Sunday is men. That's amazing in any community of faith. Men, I'm so proud of you. Thanks for showing up. But that's just a part of it. Women, as you well know, you have an incredible stake in this. Because it's about you as well. And support for your own faith. I don't want you to have to do that by yourself at home anymore. And because it's about your children, too. Urgent for your sons, and equally important for your daughters. You can't do it for the men in your life. But because your children need to hear it, and you deserve the support, you can help create a space. Create a space in your homes, in your apartments, at the dinner table, and with friends. Create a space where a man can step up, man up, and share what he believes too. You can help us do this. We can turn this around, my friends. All these fatherless children spiritually. We can. It matters too much not to. We can no longer tolerate a world where there are so many children who are spiritually fatherless.